The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Tuesday, November 17th, and today is International Merlot Day. It's also Yep. And it's also
7th.
National Retinol Day. International Day of Medical Psychics. National Canine Lymphoma Day. National Bittersweet Chocolate. I'm not sure what kind of chocolate that is, but okay.
It's bittersweet.
Oh, excuse me. It's Bittersweet Chocolate with Almonds Day. Excuse me. Pardon me. I can't leave out all the nuts in the world. And it is also, that's right, you guys, it is Election Day. We got big votes going on in Ohio and Michigan today and other places. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that fancy little QR code somewhere up there in the screen. And to find where we live on the internet, we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and Facebook. And so welcome to anyone joining us from any of those platforms. And we are going to kick it off with the dope dad himself. That's right, it's Rico Lamitte. He is the Northwestern specialist, famous debater. And on top of it, he was also a football player. That's right, it is the dope dad himself. It is none other than Mr. Rico Lamitte.
The crowd goes wild.
Yeah, it's just like football, college days, right, Rico?
The dopest dad.
Yes.
Just like college days. Just like college days, man. Catch me on News Nation talking about the college days.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of mainstream news sources, another year, this one's from CNN and a multitude of others. Another year passes and we have yet another warning from the American Heart Association about cannabis causing heart issues. Are they being really real this time? The reason I ask is because the dramatic release comes in tandem with a massive promotional push for AHA's Scientific Sessions 2023 symposium beginning this Friday in Philadelphia. And I'm pretty sure it was Curtis 50 Cent Jackson who perfected the formula of dropping diss tracks about rivals on mixtapes to build buzz for upcoming albums, but I digress. Here's what's going on. Yesterday, the American Heart Association released 2 studies that point to evidence suggesting that cannabis consumption could lead to increased rate of heart attacks, heart failure, and strokes. Since yesterday's release, the stories hit mainstream Mockingbird media chyrons everywhere. Bloomberg, CNN, Fox News, People Magazine, The Hill, Men's Journal, you name them, chances are they put out a story out. They put out this story like it's law. Should we all be concerned? Let's see what they're saying. Older adults who don't smoke tobacco but do use cannabis were at higher risk of both heart attack and stroke when hospitalized, while people who use cannabis daily were 34% more likely to develop heart failure. The AHA recommends people refrain from smoking or vaping any substance, including cannabis products, because of the potential harm to the heart, lungs, and blood vessels. While highlighting chronic conditions and weed, the release says that older adults often develop a number of chronic conditions by age 65, which appear to make the impact of marijuana worse, according to one of the studies that examined hospital records for adults over 65 with cannabis use disorder who did not smoke tobacco. The new data comes in accordance with new to two new non-published studies presented Monday morning. The first study's research found that 8,535 adults who abused weed had a 20% higher risk of having a major heart attack or brain event when hospitalized, compared to over 10 million older hospitalized adults who did not use marijuana. Both abusers and non-users abusers and non-users. You see the wording of this. They're saying if you use, you are an abuser, but if you are a non-user, you're just normal. Anyways, keep going. Already been diagnosed with high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, or high cholesterol. They also found that having high blood pressure readings over 130 over 80 and high cholesterol were key predictors of major adverse heart and brain events in marijuana users. The second study followed nearly 160,000 adults with median age of 54 for about 4 years to see if use of cannabis would impact their risk of developing heart failure. At the end of the study, researchers found that people who reported daily cannabis use had 34% increased risk of developing heart failure compared to those reported never using it. Age, sex, and sex at birth, and smoking history did not appear to impact the risk, and study researchers did not know if the marijuana was smoked or eaten, end quote. Both studies present pretty interesting information and definitely worth the read, whether you believe the numbers or not. It's important to state that correlation is not causation, and I would be remiss to not mention that with the Heart Association, we do, in fact, have an unreliable narrator. Every year before the symposium, for at least the last, or at least the last 3 years since I've been watching them and delivering the news, they drop unreleased news for developments of this same study. I'm not saying that it's bullshit. However, I do always check my sources, and when it comes to studies, whoever's funding these studies. I was shocked to see back in 2020 that AHA's Heart Healthy Recipe page that the recipe of the day was for beef stew. Not only does red meat have direct links to multitude of heart issues, but digging deeper led me to find that AHA is based in Dallas, Texas, big beef country. And surprise, surprise, the big beef lobby that year sat at the top of their corporate funding sources. Fast forward to August 2022, Animal Outlook filed a lawsuit against AHA over its use of heart check labels on certain meat products, alleging it had been taking payment for meat from meat companies for its heart healthy certifications, contradicting their own research claiming that, quote, higher meat intake is associated with atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, ASCVD. And the case was dismissed, but forced AHA to revise its heart healthy recommendations processes. This morning, I checked AHA's Heart Check certified recipe page and was pleasantly surprised that the beef recipes were no longer prominently placed at the top of the page, but they are at the bottom. There's still an outsized number of National Cattlemen's Beef Association certified recipes compared to the non-meat offerings. AHA's latest financial release revealed majority of their corporate funding comes from big pharma, big meat, and big tech, all chipping in millions of dollars each. I was happy to see that Jazz Pharmaceuticals was on that list too, but they dropped just 50,000. I guess we still got a long way to go before these hyped up studies that are all over the news begin to favor what we deem to be science too. Follow the money, y'all. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street, reporting for High at 9 News. What do you guys think of this? American Heart Association.
Again, my concern is they didn't ask people whether or not it was smoked or ate. They don't know. Are these individuals getting their product from a legal state? Are they smoking it in tobacco, in bleached paper, in flavored paper, in hemp wraps, whatever? So many factors to factor in. And then they made it a point. They made a point to mention that after hospitalization. So they are correlating that this heart disease or the heart attacks or the stroke came after hospitalization. And we know how many diseases are floating around in hospitals and how much bacteria is floating around in hospitals to have other side effects to whatever disease you may have or for whatever reason you came in. And so I'm just concerned. Obviously, I love quoting you, Rico, follow the money. Who's paying for this research? The fact that they would have any type of meat, especially red meat, on the American Heart Association's menu list is disturbing. And so it's just interesting to when I hear this research come out and all of the claims and the numbers and the to shock people and scare people. It really does. It just blows my mind each and every time. I wish we had any doctor up here to kind of tell us and explain to us some of these numbers that are in here. But a third of the people that they tested after 4 years, that they don't know whether or not they smoked it or ate it. They don't know where they were getting from. They don't know what they smoked it in. But a third of them had higher potential for a stroke or heart attack. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I think that the report, it says unpublished. It's an unpublished report. That means it hasn't been reviewed by peers. It hasn't been looked
Right.
at by experts and doctors who have approved this also. So I think it's bullshit. And you're right, Nicole. How are they smoking it? Because a bleached white paper is much different than a hemp paper. And
I mean, even a blunt.
This textbook rapper shit. You got an album that's about to drop. You get on every mixtape. You talk shit about all your rivals. Build up a buzz. They have that huge symposium coming up this weekend, and they have so many other talk tracks that they could have talked about, but they're talking about the hottest issue right now. Marijuana is associated with cardiovascular disease.
That just sounds ridiculous to me.
It's genetics and
you
diet.
know what? I think the only association that cannabis has in regards with cardiovascular disease is the fact of back in the days under prohibition that people's heart races would race so fast when law enforcement would get behind them that was pretty much the only situation of cardiovascular disorder with cannabis.
Like if you close your eyes, you can hear your heart beating.
Yeah, you know when your butt cheeks get tight all of a sudden, you're riding in a car. That's what happens.
We do know opioids, and fentanyl and those other very dangerous drugs is that cannabis won't stop your heart. It won't stop you from breathing. It won't cause your blood vessels to enlarge and bust. We know that it doesn't do that. But all this other stuff just sounds like fluff to me.
I wonder if Project Sam had anything to do with this study at all, if they put some money into this, Rico.
They'll probably be reposting it.
Oh, they'll for sure be reposting it. This paints right into their narrative.
Well, as an old guy, they're talking.
Their biggest supporter is the beef industry.
Where's the beef? Where's the beef in this story?
Where is the beef?
The American.
Well, as an old guy,
is located in Dallas, Texas. Just remember that.
Say, an old guy who smokes weed, and
and cigars.
This article was, and cigars, but not cigarettes. I care of my heart, right? Because my parents, my dad had several heart attacks. He ended up dying of a stroke over time. But so I care for my heart, and I go and I get checked, and I see a specialist, and the only medication I take is weed, right? Usually rolled in a hemp paper. It's the only medication. No blood pressure, no heart medication, and
they never put you on
I'm
nitro,
happy to report.
They never put you on nitro, huh?
Oh.
Look at that.
I eat healthy and I smoke weed, and that's what I attribute to my health. I just got a very clean bill of health just weeks ago. I got a full workup and have the heart of a 30-year-old. I'm proud to report.
Is that what did they put that on paper?
No, they did not. Did not.
Look at that heart of a 30-year-old. Look at that.
Look
at that, Todd. You might as well be a relay racer now.
I don't think so.
Does that mean you're ready to fall in love once again, Todd? All over again.
I'm ready right now, today.
Yeah.
If I could just get some of that product from Saman, I'll learn how to say hello to women again.
Yes, some of that hello again.
It's been a minute, right?
Yes.
You know how to say hello to women nowadays? You got to swipe right, brother. Swipe right.
And just so everyone knows, at our next event, we will be auctioning off Todd on our dating block for charity. Yes.
Wife won't care if you get a lot of money for it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. She's a great sport. She is a great sport. You got any thoughts on this, Saman? All your medical knowledge?
No, I mean, it's sad to say, but everyone's bought and paid for these days, especially these scientific papers and studies. I mean, you're gonna going to get somebody to lean one way or the other, because most of the time the data is inconclusive. And so this is something that we can just draw opinions on for most part. I mean, until there's more knowledge and more experimentation and more publications of those experiments. I mean, we still have, most of the country thinking it's okay and safe to consume Delta 8 products from CBD. So,
Facts.
I also think it's safe to consume McDonald's cheeseburgers.
I mean,
and Big
yeah, we're
Macs.
giving away free McDonald's for supporting like health, related causes like.
What do you mean? They sell salads now.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like the salad that got
That's the big seller at McDonald's.
Yes.
Well, like I was looking into the funding sources of some of these biggest quote unquote associations that are the most publicly televised, and Susan G. Komen for breast cancer research, their biggest corporate sponsor is KFC.
What?
That's
amazing.
Amazing.
That's interesting.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Well, no. They had
because
to change
they
their
cause
name.
so much of it.
No. They had to change their name to KFC because they are not classified as chicken anymore. Because chicken only have two wings and 2 legs, not 8 and 4.
No breasts.
Yes. But nonetheless, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. We're going to go to a commercial, and we're going to be right back. The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated. Yes.
When not auctioning off married men, you can find him smoking on the best weed in the world.
I believe in inclusion.
He's also the highest Republican in the room, whatever room that he walks into. Y'all know who it is. Jason.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Good morning, Rico. Thank you so much. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. It's Taco Tuesday, everybody, so make sure you support your local taco stand somewhere, wherever you are. But I'll tell you what, like I said earlier, it is Election Day, and Michigan dispensaries wait and watch as Ohio votes on adult use cannabis, and here's why. Ohio voters will decide on Tuesday whether to approve a proposed law to legalize adult use cannabis, which would allow people 21 and older to buy, possess, and grow adult use marijuana. Proponents say it will bring in tax dollars that Ohio residents are currently sending to Michigan. But Michigan dispensary owners are some of the biggest opponents of the proposal. The spokesperson for the group behind the effort to legalize adult use marijuana in Ohio has said, "That's because it's widely acknowledged that Ohio residents cross state lines to buy marijuana in Michigan, and if it becomes available in Ohio, that could mean fewer customers for Michigan dispensaries, leading to an oversupply of marijuana that could drive prices even lower than what they've fallen to in the last few years." There are a slew of dispensaries near the Ohio border. Monroe, Michigan, about 30-minute drive from Ohio's 4th largest city by population, Toledo, has more than a dozen dispensaries. Morenci, Michigan, which shares its southern border with Ohio and has a population of about 2,000, has 5 adult-use cannabis dispensaries, and Michigan dispensaries even advertise their proximity to Ohio on their website and signs displayed at their stores. Green Labs Provisions website, a medical and adult use dispensary in Luna Pier, south of Monroe, describes itself as only 15 minutes from downtown Toledo on its website. That's a big reason why the company chose to open a dispensary in Luna Pier, said Sean Liddon, president of Green Labs Provisions. Liddon says that he and some of the owners of the company are from the Toledo area. In a quote, he says, "We're already Ohio people," he said. "We love the fact that we have so many great Ohio customers and that they already know and love our brand and will continue to stay loyal to us, hopefully," he says. Linden estimates more than half of the dispensary's customers are from Ohio and are both medical marijuana patients and adult use shoppers. Ohio legalized medical marijuana back in 2016, and Linden said he's not particularly worried about what happens Tuesday because, in quotes, we feel that our level of quality and our established customer base is going to remain loyal to us even if some stores pop up across the border. While it's legal for an out-of-state visitor to buy adult-use cannabis in Michigan, it is illegal for them to drive the products to states where adult-use cannabis isn't legalized. However, there's no way for stores to verify where customers are traveling after they make a purchase. Not all cannabis company executives are as optimistic about what happens to Michigan's cannabis industry if Ohio and other Midwest states legalize adult use cannabis. Dave Morrow, founder of and CEO of Lumi Cannabis Co., one of the biggest cannabis companies in Michigan, describes the scenario as a, in quotes, gigantic shoe to fall. Morrow said in an interview with the Detroit Free Press earlier this year that he estimates about 1/3 of the cannabis sold in Michigan is leaving the state. Lumi has dispensaries in Adrian, Monroe, and Petersburg, all Michigan cities near the Ohio border and in locations that border other states. In Ohio, he said, prices for medical marijuana are higher compared with prices for adult use cannabis in Michigan, and Indiana hasn't legalized marijuana for medical or adult use purposes, and Illinois has prices are also higher compared with prices in Michigan, Morrow said. Marijuana prices have declined drastically in Michigan compared to what prices were during the adult use industry's early days in 2020. The average retail price for an ounce of adult use cannabis flower was 114 cents in September, according to data from Michigan's Cannabis Regulatory Agency, compared with $393.66 in September of 2020, a 75% decrease. Linden said he hears from Ohio medical marijuana patients that prices have dropped so much in Michigan that it doesn't even make sense for them to pay the fees to keep and renew their medical marijuana cards. What that means, though, according to Morrow, is that Michigan is effectively setting the price for the rest of the Midwest. In a quote, if you're in northern Ohio, all your customers are already used to paying that market price, he said. You're not going to be able to charge them $6,000 a pound. If you go ahead and put it out at that price, everyone's going to say, yeah, right, I'm going to keep driving to Michigan. If Ohio legalizes adult use marijuana along with other border states like Indiana and Wisconsin, it will immediately create a massive oversupply issue in Michigan, Morrow said. However, even if Ohio does legalize adult use marijuana and prices are comparable to Michigan's, it will likely be at least a year before dispensaries start to open in Ohio, said Scott Johnson, a member of the law firm Eastman & Smith, which is based out of Toledo, Ohio. That's because it needs to go to the Ohio state legislature where adjustments can be made because it's an initiated statute, not a constitutional amendment. The legislature will have to pass rules and regulations and essentially put them into place, Johnson said. He anticipates that if the measure passes, the state would handle the adult use marijuana industry similar to what it has done with medical marijuana and liquor, where prospective licensees must first be qualified to receive a license, and then they are entered into a lottery to receive a capped number of licenses. The market research from BDSA predicts that if Ohio voters legalize adult use marijuana, sales will start in 2025, and by 2027, the state will see $1.3 billion in marijuana sales. Meanwhile, in Michigan, it's forecast to bring in $3.7 billion in adult use sales in 2027, and BDSA said that more than double Ohio's predicted sales. That's up from $2.8 billion in sales expected this year. Well. Big day for all these voters out there, and I'll tell you this, if you are in Ohio, I hope you vote yes on this issue. I believe it's issue number 2, and this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News. What do y'all think about this?
I think it's hysterical that they're promoting cross-state lines, commerce. You know what I mean? We don't need it here. We have it in the next state over. You can't really go buy it and bring it home, but That's what we're promoting. It's so stupid.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that they're putting those kinds of things on their website. I would think that could bring some other types of jurisdictional
Time heat.
problems. Yeah,
big
like you're
time heat.
clearly marketing to interstate commerce in clear direction of federal law, even though they are selling weed, which is against federal law at the same time too. But
Right. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the focus of the story. Right?
Yeah, this is Ohio. I mean, it's Ohio. I think Michigan has plenty of time to adjust. Stores aren't even going to open probably until 2025, and they're probably going to be a clusterfuck like everybody else has been too. I think another thing to realize is that's 2 years out. We might have federal legalization before then, and Michigan is king of the Midwest right now.
Well, Michigan has always been the gateway to the East Coast as far as cannabis sales are concerned, and
especially how Illinois is dropping has just completely dropped the ball.
I find it very naive, though. I find it very naive of this store owner who thinks that his customer base is going to stay with him from Ohio and is going to travel half an hour just to buy weed from them when they could just travel probably 15, 20 minutes to a store in their state and buy it.
Yeah, Michigan already has an oversupply. They have dispensaries giving away. What was it the big one, the big giveaway that I saw at the beginning of the year? Like you get a lifetime of weed raffle for like one of these dispensaries. So I mean, it's already overpopulated with dispensaries and access. So I mean, I think it's good for the market. It'll be good competition. Because Ohio and Michigan already has a huge competition from football and absolutely everything else. But Indiana's still not open. What are the other surroundings? Like Pennsylvania is still figuring things out. So I mean, I think Michigan will be fine in the long run. They'll figure things out, and capitalism is going to do what capitalism does. Period. Currently, it is true that the medical prices are more expensive in Ohio than adult use in Michigan. If they keep their prices lower than Ohio, they'll continue creating incentive for people to cross that border and get cheaper weed in the state over.
Without a doubt.
They're creating just a mass hysteria, economic hysteria. Like, oh, Ohio's going to come and take all our shit. Like, dude, figure it out. That's what capitalism is about.
And just like every other state that went from a medical state to an adult use state, which has been every adult use state in this country so far, the medical program gets left behind. Why would a patient pay for a medical card if they're not getting the benefits?
Exactly,
I don't know
Nicole.
what kind of system they're doing over there, but in Nevada, we just passed legislation 6 years later after adult use to allow dispensaries to have both a medical and an adult use license instead of paying 2 licensing fees. And we had to get that done through legislation, and it took a while because the legislators meet every other year here in Nevada. You were losing, the patients weren't being cared for. They were losing dispensaries that they could go to and actually get their benefits. And so, of course, that's the real sad part, is how the medical program gets left behind every single time that this happens. I love to see adult use, of course, become legal and give more access to people that need the medicine. But at the same time, we don't need to be reducing the amount of THC that patients have access to, or reducing the amount of dispensaries that they have access to, and the benefits of being a patient. We can't forget our patients.
I'll tell you what, if these retailers in Michigan are really concerned about Ohio coming in and eating their lunch, you know what they need to be lobbying for? They need to be lobbying for higher purchase limits, because that would ensure that people would travel to Michigan to be able to stock up on cannabis in Michigan and then bring it back to Ohio. That would make the most sense. If I was in Michigan and I had a business in Michigan, I would be encouraging the state to raise the purchasing limits, because then that way they could come across and it would make sense. Like, I have cousins on the East Coast, and they live in Vermont, and so they'll go and buy alcohol if they need a bottle of alcohol in Vermont. But when they really go to stock up on their liquor, they drive into New Hampshire because the prices are so much cheaper. And I just see this as
but then the
perception,
perception of having, an unlimited purchase amount is, oh, you're going to go buy it and sell it in your area, right? Because there's no dispensaries there.
Yeah. But if the market's already set, you have a lot less customers that you're going to be able to sell it to, Todd. I mean, if the market is already super low, there's not going to be a lot of high profit margin. It's the same reason why trappers don't sit around and have cows at their house, because doesn't make sense for them to sell milk on the corner.
I get that, but the problem with passing the that limit, that unlimited limit, right, is everybody comes out, save the kids, and it's going to be in my neighborhood now because this guy's going to take a pound and break it up and resell it to the neighborhood.
It's really just like recreational cannabis has just been like a dinner bell call for all these capitalists to get in here and do what they do best, and really really just ruin the opportunity. I mean, to be honest, retrospectively, everybody should just stick with the caregiver and the medical model. It's in every operator's best interest, because what happens is the corporatocracy, the kleptocracy always wins at the end of the day.
That's right.
That's what it
is. Yes. Well, Michigan, good luck. And Ohio, I wish you luck.
Good luck, Ohio.
It's election day. There's a number.
Yes, Ohio.
Yeah, there's a number of towns too voting in Michigan today too, to allow for cannabis within their jurisdictions. So good luck to all those jurisdictions. But coming up next, she's a plant patient, a plant medicine advocate, founder of Purple Plant Magic, and she's also part of M4MM. And you can also find her on Wednesdays in Las Vegas as the Encyclopedia on Power 88 in Las Vegas, Nevada. That is right. It is none other than Purple Plant Magic herself, Miss Nicole Buffong.
Thank you, Jason, for that lovely introduction. My story today is coming out of Maryland, a little bit further east than Michigan and Ohio. A Maryland returning citizen created a cannabis tech startup. Colin Frazier founded Upling in 2021 to increase accessibility to legally available cannabis in the region. Growing up in a religious family, founder Colin Frazier wasn't introduced to cannabis as a medical tool. He grew up, quote, "I grew up in a Christian household where cannabis was considered the devil's lettuce." We've heard that before. Frazier told Technically, "Back then, you did it as a recreational party drug, and I really didn't know much about the healing purposes of that actual plant." It wasn't until later in life, after Frazier spent some time incarcerated, that he was inspired to do something to help people in prison and returning citizens. And through his mother dealing with stage 4 cancer, he learned how hard it can be for those who need cannabis treatments the most to access them. In 2021, his motivation turned into Upling, a Rockville, Maryland-based cannabis delivery app that just won the latest DC Startup Week pitch competition. While his mom was getting treated for cancer, Frazier said he realized the difficulty patients go through to find the time or energy to go to a dispensary. The same is true of the elderly and veterans who get a lot of anxiety standing in lines due to PTSD. Available for Android and iOS for residents of Maryland and DC, Upling is the first Black-owned cannabis delivery app in Maryland. Partnering with dispensaries, users place an order through the app, a driver picks it up, and it's delivered to their home. Users have to show ID or a medical card when downloading the app, ensuring that they can legally make the purchase. Upling also helps users apply for a medical card through the app if they need one. The company currently delivers recreational cannabis to users in DC, as well as medical cannabis to applicable patients in Maryland. In the app, dispensaries can upload prices, product menus, descriptions of products and strains, and sales, which users can see right on the platform. Consumers who can't pull things off of a shelf and read labels at a dispensary can therefore take their time and find the product that works for them. With Upling, we have the description right there in front of you before you make your purchase, so you're able to read it clean and clear so that you can make your purchase in accordance with the right decision for you, Frazier said. Upling currently has 10 drivers, many of whom are returning citizens, and created both a user app and a driver app, similar to DoorDash or Lyft. The apps were built with Coordinator on the front end and React Native on the back end. Orders are only available through the app at the moment, but Frazier plans to launch an updated version later this year with a web ordering option. In the coming years, Frazier wants to get 1 million downloads of the Upling app, as well as launch services and dispensary partnerships all up and down the East Coast. He also plans to do more work with senior living facilities, another group that has a hard time making it out to dispensaries. But mostly, he hopes that Uplink can give something key back to consumers. We just drop it right to your doorstep so you can finish playing Call of Duty. You can finish up your homework. You can finish watching that football game. Fraser said, we want to give time back to the consumer, to the patients. I thought that this story was great as we come into MJ BizCon, the biggest industry trade show, conference and expo of the year for our industry, and understanding the ancillary and supply chain side of this business and making sure that people are aware. M for MM, shameless plug, has a program called M Procure, helps you get contract ready, helps to make sure that you are ready to approach these businesses and licensed operators on how to utilize the supply chain, how to become a part of the supply chain. And this is a little bit different because it is a licensed in Maryland. It is an actual license for delivery, but it's still not technically touching plant. And so I think that this is great that we're seeing more people having this type of opportunity, more people understanding the ancillary side or the supply chain side of the industry and understanding how they can fit in. We've got new licenses coming to Nevada with consumption lounges, and some new services are going to pop up for these businesses, these new licensed businesses. And so I'm hoping that people really take a hard look at what, if you didn't get a license, a consumption lounge license here in Nevada, what are the other opportunities? What new businesses are going to be coming up for Nevadans here very soon? So this is Nicole Buffong reporting for High at 9 News. I'd love to hear what my correspondents think about this story.
It's pretty interesting. Is this like a is this sort of like a ease?
It sounds like
so.
it.
That he created?
Something very similar. It's not nothing, brand new to the industry or the concept of the industry, a delivery app. But yeah, it sounds like it's something very similar to Ease. Yeah.
Do they call it DMVs?
They call it Uplink.
Well, they should have called it DMVs. They should have hired me to give them a name.
I think
Kind of like DoorDash.
Yes.
Dash for weed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Plant Dash.
Plant Dash.
Yeah.
It's great.
So
great.
I think it's great. I think that more people that are newly free citizens coming back to society, or that have a charge.
What do they mean by that? I'm confused by that. What do they mean by that?
He was incarcerated.
Ah, okay.
So
Got
newly returning citizen.
Got
right?
it.
Is that what we're calling formerly incarcerated people these days?
Returning
it's
citizens. News to me.
Returning citizens.
Returning citizens.
Yeah, they still don't have the right to vote, but they are citizens.
They are on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, they
right.
did in Florida until DeSantis took that right away from him.
Yeah, well,
I'm not sure if they don't have the right to vote. I mean, if they're in Maryland, I don't think Maryland has that felon law in place.
Oh, I don't know. I know Florida did it in a vote a couple years ago, but I'm not sure about Maryland. I'd have to look that up and see what they're doing in Maryland.
I would be surprised if Maryland did. I would be really surprised if Maryland did.
Why?
Because it's mostly a Democratic state. And that's not really a Democratic policy.
I think that they would have made the news by now if that had happened.
Exactly.
And, they got Wes Moore as their governor now. I'm sure that would have been something that he would have made headlines for doing.
Exactly, Nicole. So I think by default, we can safely say that Maryland doesn't have that.
It says convicted felons can vote. You do not in Maryland have the right to vote while incarcerated.
That makes sense.
If you have been convicted, yes, you have your voting rights.
Hey, could you imagine if you're in jail and the only piece of mail that you get is your absentee ballot in the mail when you're in jail?
It's funny.
Is that how Trump's gonna vote?
Stop it! Stop it! He's gonna walk up in person and vote for himself and win.
Are they going to have Secret Service in prison with him? How is that going to work?
Yeah. Oh man, that'll be epic. He'll have his own little bodyguards in there. He'll have a whole little crew.
Secret COs.
Yeah.
I can't hear you, Saman.
Let's not dilute such a great story. Let's just wrap this up with, if you're a federal cannabis prisoner and you're incarcerated for a low level crime such as cannabis, you can apply for compassionate release under Section 3582. That's a new thing that just started. So if you are a federal cannabis prisoner currently serving time incarcerated for cannabis, you can look into that. And
or if you know somebody that's incarcerated,
you know somebody that's incarcerated, if you have a family, a loved one, we have a form actually that we're putting out that's going to be like a questionnaire, and you could add some information, and there might be some assistance for you there. So we won't.
What's the timeline on that, Saman, so we can make sure we get that information?
Timeline on it just November 1st, so we're just a week into this. So
brand new.
get it in now. We'll link that. We'll definitely put it on high9news.com.
Yeah, we'll make sure too we include that in our newsletter this weekend on Saturday.
Yes, indeed.
Without
Thank you for the real
yes.
Thank you for that.
Yes, but on that we got to keep it moving. We're going to go to a commercial and we're going to be right back.
I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla. And if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get yourself a stretch and smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
That's right, baby. I'm Smoky Vanilla with my background in kinesiology. I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on athletes who have chronic pain or injury due to their sport, or the legends of the chronic in the game, baby.
Oh, yeah, you know what it is. We just stretched, and now we're gonna smoke, because you know what it is.
That's right. I love intuitively creating a session based on the individual I'm working with. We'll go through a few assessments, look at the past health history, injury, or anything that's still affecting you today, and create a customized session just for you. Let's go.
Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. YouTube appreciates it, and you will even appreciate it, and you'll be a better person for it. Also, too, make sure you hit subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel already. And all of the articles that we cover today, you can read on our website at www.highat9news.com. And, of course, please make sure that you check out our live video featuring myself, Rico, Mandy Tingler, Lou Scarmazzo, and Hirsch Jane, and Stone Slade, all at the West Hollywood Halloween first ever Cannabis Carnival with legal sales, legal consumption, and us doing a special New Year's Eve style commentary show of all the events. So make sure that you check it out. It's on our YouTube page. And with that, we're going to go to our next commercial.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
You with us, Rico?
Oh, yeah. You know who it is. He is a dope dad, a 15-year industry vet, and an award-winning solvent extraction pioneer currently focused on helping menopausal women say hello. Hi again.
oh,
Saman Razani, what you got for us today, my man? That's how you get this shit started.
a theme song. That's awesome.
I'm just messing with the new gear on the soundboard. Thank you everybody for tuning in today. I'm coming live from the East Yay area, Rio Vista, California. Represent. I wanted to share a story coming out of Denver, Colorado, my home state and hometown, and there's some disturbing news out there. We got some people wilding out there because their businesses aren't doing so well, and we see the knives coming out. This story from the Rooster magazine. According to leaked emails, Jad's Mile High Smoke Smoke complained about weed lounges and events. Stacy Davis, whose husband is the owner of Jad's Mile High Smoke, emailed more than 20 various government officials complaining of multiple cannabis consumption events that happened in Denver in an attempt to shut them down and shut them out. Remember earlier this summer when your favorite venues for cannabis hospitality and private events like the Tetra Lounge and Ant Life all received warnings or tickets because they allowed consumption of cannabis on their properties? Originally, we thought the city of Denver was just busting balls. However, it's recently been brought to light via leaked screenshots, which we've included in this, and we're going to post it up on our story here, that the reason the companies all received these aforementioned ball-busting letters was because the wife of the owner of the only cannabis consumption bar in Colorado complained to various enforcement agencies. Indeed, it would appear that Stacy Davis, whose husband Joshua Davis owns Jad's Mile High Smoke, complained to various members of the Marijuana Enforcement Division, the MED, Denver government, and even the mayor's office and the chief of police in an attempt to extinguish what she refers to as continued illegal consumption of cannabis in Denver. Eye roll. But what we would offer to as Thursday night would exist. We've been saying it for years. We'll say it again. Capitalists are like thieves. There's no honor among them either. We received screenshots of the emails from Nicholas Barreto, the cannabis connoisseur 007, who explained that the emails were sent to him anonymously. Before we get into the content of the emails, though, you're going to need a little backstory. Long ago, during a golden yet forgotten age, circa 2021, the city of Denver allowed the consumption of cannabis in private venues. The idea was that if the venue was down, you could roll up to a place like Tetra and spark up while you watched whatever shenanigans were scheduled to take place that night. Then, starting in 2022, the city of Denver said, never mind, get fucked. They amended their codes and regulations and rules to dictate that the businesses had to get approved for a hospitality license through the MED before submitting an application to the city of Denver. Sound familiar? Back in the first grade, we called a move like this takesies backsies. And even in the ill-remembered days of our youth, it was generally considered a dick move. As the city of Denver amended its rules to create a plethora of loopholes and hurdles for these various establishments, one establishment had the capital to navigate all of the bureaucratic bullshit and now refers to itself as the first cannabar, in quotes, in Denver. Did you guess that it was Jad's? Good job. Multiple venues across the Denver area continue to operate the way they had for a few years. After all, no harm, no foul, right? Well, not if you're the owner of Jad's, or as Davis puts in her email, the only legal retail hospitality venue in the state. We don't want to reference elementary school 2 times in the article, but does it sound like someone is bad at sharing with you? Davis outlined the plethora of events, alleging them as illegal and urging the city of Denver to shut them down before they happened. Some of these events included Turk Talks, the Pot Girl Summer Tour, various sessions and events, and even yoga classes. Real action will be required, wrote Davis to the more than 20 recipients in her emails. Actual consequences need to be administered because right now every single licensed brand in the state thinks they have an unfettered access to give products away freely at unlicensed and illegal consumption events. While we're pretty positive that the cannabis overdose isn't even possible, we think we almost died from the overconsumption of Karen-esque energy found in these emails. Your eyes rolled into the back of our head at everything she said. Davis goes on to allege that various cannabis companies will be bringing illegal products to give away freely for consumption at this ticketed publicly available sesh event. These types of events go on daily under our nose and without tacit approval. This may be unrelated, but the last time we went to the liquor store where these guys at the front giving out samples of whiskey and IPAs, food for thought. Davis then finished her email with the thinly veiled threat to the Denver Mayor Mike Johnston to get the media involved. Mr. Mayor, welcome to the team, wrote Davis. Perhaps everyone receiving information in one fell swoop will hasten activity. I'm happy to invite the news stations to the next chat we have. Stacey Davis's unfounded attacks on the cannabis community as a whole, including event organizers, not only tarnish the legacy of cannabis pioneers, but also cast a shadow on the cherished community events like Stoner Cinema Pop-Up, Beretta told Rooster in an interview. We went on to condemn the micro sales that are becoming more and more prevalent in the Denver scene. When we say micro sales, we're referring to businesses or someone that acts as a middleman between the dispensary and the cannabis user and has the gall to, we don't even know, charge $30 for a half gram of concentrate. The proliferation of micro cannabis sales is a concerning trend, especially when you peel back the layers to see it for what it truly is. A tactic to increase tax revenue to the expense of both consumer and small business, says Barreto. Stacey Davis's actions only serve to exacerbate the issue. By creating division and instability in our industry, she's playing right into the hands of those who seek to capitalize on us, undermining the ethos of the Colorado cannabis community. This story, it goes on a little longer, but just to summarize in the end, I mean, this is just ridiculous, and this shows the complicity of licensing authorities in these states. How can they only justify giving one license? Why are they only allowing that to be a norm? You have to open this up. This isn't right. And you have somebody who's actually out there naming names who, friends of mine, dear friends of mine, have actually been named in these allegations as well, which is completely unfounded. Shout out Shisha Khalifa, shout out Marijuana Mansion, shout out Tetra Lounge. All these guys out there are just doing it for the community. And let's be honest, we just need a place to go. How can you enforce something so ridiculous and pejorative as these cannabis rules on smoking and where to smoke when you have this discrepancy all throughout the country? Half these states are saying you can't smoke inside your house. Half of them say you can smoke where cigarettes are smoked. What's right and what's wrong, we don't know. But what's wrong is snitching. Quit snitching out there. Quit dry snitching on yourself. Quit snitching on your fellow business owners. It's ridiculous. Get a life. I don't know what to say, but
get stitches.
I'm a little saddened, but what do you all have to say about this? Please let me hear it.
Shout out to Michael Diaz Rivera, one of our faithful listeners. He's got a delivery service out in Denver, Colorado. So support Better Days Delivery. I just think that the snitching part is not cool at all. I think that what does the law say in Denver? Do we know? Do we know what it actually says about public consumption? Are you only allowed to smoke in your house?
So here's where it gets a little tricky, right? Because these are private events held in, private settings that aren't open to the public. You have to be on an RSVP list. You have to have a ticket to the event. These are private events for all intents and purposes. You're not just saying, hey, anyone could come off the street and just smoke down in my venue. That's not what's happening, and that's what these claims are being made to sound like, right? That it's just they're openly like consuming cannabis and people are allowing it. And what's happening is you have a business owner whose business is obviously hurting. Maybe adopt a different business model, maybe have pay somebody to come help you kind of give a facelift to your business so you're not hurting as bad. But obviously, if they're taking these extreme measures to stop their competition, they're not the vibe. You know what I mean? So what it's like there's just
boycott them.
But the problem is the licensing requirements for a lounge, for any type of restaurant or whatever where you're going to host people. You have to meet these exacerbated conditions that are set upon these businesses to have a lounge to smoke when the cigar lounges and whatever are able to do whatever they want wherever they want. So I think there's more to it, but initially all I got to say is I feel for the operators, and we're standing behind those operators that are having to fight this kind of trash. Just keep fighting the good fight. Hopefully there's a resolution, but I don't think the city of Denver is going to see past this. I think there's going to be more, there's going to be more danger to these operators that are even hosting these private parties because now, some giant Karen in Denver is kicking up dust, and people
Should be decided in divorce court, not criminal court, right?
Man.
The guy's wife is the complainant. The guy's wife is the one complaining who owns the place.
Yeah.
Clearly a lover's quarrel, and now the whole industry has gotten involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wish the best for all those operators fighting this, and I really hope that the regulators open their eyes and they don't fall into this trap and start to use unjust and unruly enforcement against these business operators.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big shout out to Brad Bogus. He said it's been a known rumor for months now, but nobody collected the paperwork until about 3 weeks ago, on this. This is dude, this is the game done changed, man. You got people openly snitching on each other and just contradicting their own interests, and they got to realize when you do stuff like this, yeah, you might win that one battle against somebody that you don't like locally, but that when that hammer drops, you will get inflicted with wounds as well. You will be part of that collateral damage, and you're hurting the industry, you're hurting your own business interests in the long run. So that one little bullshit victory that you're getting off of this for whatever personal reasons, just remember that you take a half-second step back and look at the big picture. You're hurting the community, you're hurting yourself, and you're just making more of a reason for these politicians to go with corporate players because they don't have to deal with a little petty bullshit like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stop snitching, you guys. It's not the move. People need to get back to the code of cannabis, and it's just not the thing to do. But at the same time, like the city of Denver, you need to get this regulatory thing out from your behind, bro, because the reality of this is that if people want to host an event on their own private property and allow for the consumption of cannabis and whatnot, that should be their the fact that they're a property owner, that right to do that. And even if they lease the place, as long as the property owner is allowing it, then they should be able to do whatever they want to do on their property, so long as they're not harming the general public, which they are not. But on that, we have to move real fast to Mr. Todd Denkin. He's the voice from Las Vegas. He's also the founder of, that's right, excuse me, the Smuggleverse.
What is he the founder of?
Sorry, I was about to cough. He's the founder of the Smuggleverse, and as well, where you can get all of your digital cannabis, as well as the founder of Digipath Labs, where you can get all of your digital cannabis tested, as well as your regular cannabis. That's right, it is Mr. Todd Denkin.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. I have an international story. Switzerland is set to make history with the establishment of the first legal adult-use cannabis dispensaries in Europe, part of a groundbreaking pilot project. This landmark initiative, known as Grasshouse Projects, is the result of a collaboration between Germany-based cannabis company Sanity Group and the Swiss Institute for Addiction and Health Research. After receiving approvals from the Federal Office of Public Health and the Ethics Committee, Northwest and Central Switzerland, study aims to delve deeper into the consequences of regulated cannabis availability, offering crucial insights that would influence potential cannabis regulations in Switzerland, possibly serve as a valuable case study for other European countries seeking to navigate the complex legal framework surrounding adult use cannabis. Switzerland's Grasshouse Projects represent a groundbreaking pilot study that holds significant promise for the future of cannabis regulation the country and possibly throughout Europe. This initiative is the first in Europe and has garnered substantial attention from policymakers, researchers, and the cannabis industry as a whole. The pilot study's major purpose is to get a thorough knowledge of the ramifications of regulated cannabis availability. Not the benefits, but the ramifications, right? The study intends to shed light on the potential impact of adult-use cannabis in a controlled context by looking into the consumption patterns of up to 3,950 healthy adults residing in the Canton Basel Landschaft. To be eligible for the study, participants must pass a medical appropriateness exam and submit an initial online survey. Those successfully admitted will have the opportunity to legally purchase cannabis at a designated point of sale in the future, thanks to the participation card. What sets the Grasshouse Projects apart from other Swiss initiatives its approach to distribution. Unlike previous projects that dispense cannabis through pharmacies or clubs, Pilot study will utilize stores as points of sale, starting with one in Asheville. This innovative approach not only streamlines consumer access, but also provides valuable insights into the retail aspect of regulated cannabis. They just look at what's happening here in the United States. Subsequent opening of a store in Leastle shortly signifies the expansion of the pioneering model cater to a broader audience. Study significance is underscored by the involvement of Sanity Group, a Germany-based cannabis company, as the only non-Swiss entity participating in the Swiss pilot projects. This international collaboration brings diverse expertise to the endeavor, offering a rich perspective on cannabis regulation and its potential benefits. Grasshouse projects commence are poised to address fundamental questions about the responsible use of cannabis, paving the way for informed discussions, healthy policy, and potentially influencing the long-term regulatory framework in Switzerland and beyond. It not only focuses on cannabis consumption, but also prioritizes the quality and production of cannabis products. The commitment to product quality and transparency sets a strong foundation for the legal industry in the country. One notable aspect of the project is that all cannabis products will adhere to the quality standards specified by the pilot trials controlled dispensing of non-medical cannabis, Switzerland's organic regulations. Dedication to quality control ensures that consumers have access to safe and consistent cannabis products. Also demonstrates the Swiss government commitment to creating a regulated market. It goes on and on and on to say how great it's going to be and that the study is going to change the way things are done in Switzerland and all throughout Europe. I think it's a good study to do, right? But you don't really talk about exactly what they're looking for, and it's kind of broad, right? When they can over here and just see what's happening in California and Nevada, and as messy as it is, it's working, right? I'm high at Todd. I'm Todd Denkin with High at 9 News.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Amazing. Amazing.
Shout out to shout out to Europe, I guess.
Finland, bro.
Yeah, you know,
This is
Switzerland
Finland?
is taking the bull by the ball. Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
Switzerland, not even in the EU, but it's you know, it wants to have legal cannabis. The people want it. They want to regulate it, and they're going about it slowly and surely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's
one top billionaire money laundering places in the world. So, you know,
Perfect.
they can do that. They can get
Everyone-
cannabis right.
Thousandaires and millionaires too, Rico.
True.
I am aware of their pilot program in Switzerland, and like a few areas in Switzerland cities are kind of like onboarding this program, and they're gonna see how it goes. But I don't know. Europe's an interesting market. I think that obviously they've had a lot more experience with cannabis over the years and commerce, and to see this proliferation, I'm eager to see what that looks like. But it's probably going to be slow going and very restricted into the hands of just a select few. So we'll see how that goes in the long run. But Swiss cannabis, the Alps are dry, so maybe you know the weed will start falling and things will happen.
Yeah, man.
Be a great addition to that hot chocolate.
Oh yes. I could just
Swiss.
I could just see it now. I can see it now.
I like their research approach. I think that's a good start for them. To keep it research focused, study this plant. Let's get some facts in order here.
But is the
That's what I
research really going to be that good if they're getting Canadian weed, Nicole? Just
Probably not.
You know,
just
They're growing Swiss weed.
okay.
you know, yeah. They won't have to deal with social equity at least.
Oh man.
Thank you all for joining us.
Rico.
Yo.
Let me read you this. This is 2 sentences. You have to hear this. You
Socialist equity because it's a socialist company.
No. Hold on. I think if you remember a few months ago, we covered a story about a farm that was seized in Oklahoma, and that the government was trying to sell it for $775,000. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bought it.
Well, guess what? You guys? This is a 19-acre farm, and it has just been dropped to a big fat discount. No one was interested in the farm at that price, but now the minimum bid for this farm has dropped to $100,000, you guys.
No!
Major price drop for this illicit farm in Oklahoma.
And you got that in your back pocket. Why don't you pick up a nice farm?
Man, look at that.
It's a legacy market farm. It's not a legal market farm.
Nope, this was seized. This is a 19-acre farm that was seized by the government for illegal grow operations in Oklahoma.
But then you got to live in Oklahoma.
That's the price of a brand new Mercedes-Benz.
Johnson County Sheriff.
An entire farm.
Hold on, you're going to love this quote. He said, Johnson County Sheriff, because he said this. He said, "Let it be known throughout the county that if you use your farm to grow illegally, we will seize it and we will sell it," he said in that previous statement. I just found that quote fantastic, and I think he actually will sell it, but I think he may even see one more price reduction before this. But opening bids at $100,000 to purchase 19 acres of illicit farmland in Oklahoma. And you too can be a trapper.
It just sounds like bait to me.
You too can be a trapper.
That's expensive.
I am not touching that shit. But yeah, we are at the top of the hour, everybody. Thank you for joining us for yet another episode of High at 9 News. You can catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans showing love, getting their comments posted live on the big screen. A live audience and online supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in each day to the headlines of chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. To our vetted correspondents tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. To our production team, Cloud Media partners, all our sponsors keeping the lights on and usually our AV struggles to a minimum. I think we did a great job today. And as always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason that we show up to read these headlines daily. Thank you. It has been Taco Bout It Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. The show is over. You've all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it is enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. And taking us out today, you know who it is. This is Saman. Hello, hi.
Guys, don't buy acres of land in Oklahoma for $5,000 an acre. Terrible idea. Just smoke good weed from Jason Beck's private stash and you'll be fine. Salute.
Dude, with Joe Biden interest rates, we just need 8,000 down for conventional land. The conventional.
The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News. Its audience